Hey everyone, I wanted to give a quick tutorial on Project 3 where you create your own drum beat. Now I don't want to read through most of this on the video because you guys can do that on your own and it is located on Google Classroom, but I do want to highlight a couple key points of this project and the objectives and requirements. So you guys can read through the first chunk on your own. When we get down to the requirements, just a couple quick things here. For the form, the project needs to contain a form track, and you guys are going to see that in the template. And the form track needs to be labeled appropriately using the alpha system. Okay, so ABA is what I've set up for you. It has to be at least 24 measures long, and the song uses 8 measure phrases. You must create at least 2 different drum beats. They can be related and similar to each other, and the ones that I'm going to show you will be. Each drum beat must demonstrate a usage of kick, snare, and hi-hat. You may include extra components if you wish, but that is the bare minimum. You must perform the components of your drum beat using your keyboard. Do not use the beat mapper. And lastly, you will need to quantize your performance. You will have a drum fill for this, and your song must contain at least one of them. The fill can be as little as 1 beat long and up to 4 beats or a full measure. Your drum fill should be related to your form and occur at an appropriate time. For example, the 7th measure of your verse or the A section has a fill leading into the chorus, which would be your B section. I will let you guys read through the soundtrack basics, but making sure you color code like elements to each other, label the formats, so instrument name, making sure that's the correct element of music, and then make sure any loops do not have conflicting musical content, so key, length, timing, etc., etc. You guys can look through this section on your own to make sure you know how you're being graded and to make sure that you fulfill all of the requirements that are needed for the project. So in Google Classroom, you're going to click on a Soundtrap link and it's going to bring you to a template that looks like this. You're going to have a drum beat 1 up here. That's where you're going to compose the first one. Drum beat number 2 will be right here, and your drum fill will be right here. You're going to notice that your form track is here. The first one is A, and then B, and then A. And you're going to notice they are 24 measures long, and we will be able to compose around that. Now, you can compose an intro, and you can do an outro if you would like, but I'm just telling you the bare minimum of what you need to do. So I have already selected my drum kits. I just wanted you guys to see that they're all going to be the same. I'm using this sound down here, and it's the same here as well, and the same for my drum fill. The form track doesn't matter because there is no sound being used there at all. So let's get started. We are going to compose our first drum beat, and I'm going to use the cycle tool here, and I'm going to bring it down here to 4 measures, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit just so it's easier to see what's going on, and I'm going to record our first drum beat. Now I've thought about all of these before we've started, so don't think that I'm just coming up with all of this on the spot, and hopefully you guys have messed around a little bit on your own as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is record the bass drum part to this first drum beat, and I'm going with like a 4 on the floor type of feeling where the bass drum is on every single beat. So let's record that part now. Here we go. All right, that is taken care of, and we are going to quantize that to the quarter note. Okay, and the next section we are going to record is the snare drum, and I'm keeping that one real simple. That one is just going to be on beats 2 and beats 4. So here is the snare drum. We'll go back to the beginning, and I didn't tell you this before, but I had already pre-selected my tempo. The metronome is on, and I did select 1 measure for the count in. So all of those factors have been thought about. I'm just going through this project quickly so you guys can see how I've done this. All right, let's get back to it. We're going to record the snare drum, and it's on 2 and 4, and I'm going to use that sound. It's the clapping sound. Here we go. And that is done. We're also going to quantize this again to the quarter note. We're going to go back here, hit rewind, and the last thing we're going to do is record the hi-hat, but I wanted to have a slightly different feel, maybe more syncopated feel, so I'm choosing to do the hi-hat on all of the up beats or off beats. So instead of hearing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, you're just going to hear it only on the ands of the beat, and then we can contrast that later with the B section. So here is the hi-hat part, and I'm using this sound, by the way. Here we go, hi-hat. Okay, that's recorded. Now, since that is an eighth note part, I'm actually going to go into the piano roll, and I'm going to highlight it here and select quantize for that region. But I'm going to quantize that region to the eighth note. So let's go back now and listen to the full drum beat. All right, sounds pretty good. Now we're going to listen to it repeat. Perfect, awesome. So let's mute this track, and we're going to come down here to drum beat number 2. And we're going to record this one. Now I'm going to change this one up a little bit and have it contrast the first one. The first thing I'm going to do is record the hi-hat part. And this is just going to be on beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's actually going to be the same as the bass drum and the first drum beat. So let's give this a shot and hear what we can do here. And that's done. We're going to quantize that right away to the quarter note. Now the next chunk that we're going to do, I'm actually going to do the bass drum and the snare at the same time. And I'm choosing a slightly different sound where the bass drum is here. That's the one we've always been doing. But instead of using the clap here, I'm actually choosing to use this sound and this sound at the same time. So you will get this. And to save a little time, I can record that all at once. So we are going to give this a shot and record. So here it is. We're done recording that. And since they're all the same when it comes to quantizing lengths, we're just going to select quarter note again. And now we're going to listen to it. Let's go back to the beginning. Now it's going to repeat and make sure it's all good. Perfect. Awesome. So now I don't want to record that anymore. And I'm going to choose to do a drum fill here. And I do not want it to be a full measure. I think I'm just going to choose a 2-beat drum fill. But I would like to end it on beat 1 with just more than one component. So I think I'll use this sound and then finish here, where you have a bass drum, a snare drum, and a crash cymbal right here. So if we try to record this, it's going to be on beats 3, beats 4, and then beat 1. So let's give it a shot. Here we go. Well, I messed that up. So let's try this again and see what we got, and then we'll trim it up in a minute. That's the sound I want. Here we go. And we're good. And I'll come back And let's trim that up here. And then we can get rid of, I guess it doesn't matter there because we can always drag this over that, but for the sake of argument here, let's see what it sounds like. All right, and then we are going to quantize that. All right, so 16th note is what we need to quantize it to, and let's see what that sounds like. Great, good to go. And then we'll trim that up and it's ready. So the next step after all my components are finished is to create our piece. So let's zoom out just a touch here. So now I can see everything all at once. And I'm going to come down here and add a drum beat track. And it doesn't matter because I am going to copy and paste right here. So this first one is going to get copied and pasted. This is my A section. But let's do this. I think I'm going to create an intro. So I'm going to move all of this over. I think I'm going to create a 4-measure intro. So let's bring that there. And now I can copy and paste this right here. Well, not right there, right there. We'll get rid of that. And I'm going to make this 8 measures long. And if I quantize it correctly, I can loop it and just drag it. If not, you can always copy and paste it again. And that's also an easy way to do that. So the next thing here is your second drum beat. We're going to call this drum beat. We're going to make sure we select the correct drum too, because we don't want the sounds to change. So we're going to come back up here, and it was Beanie. We're selecting that. We're good to go. Now I'll click out of that. So let me go back, copy this again, there. Make sure the track is selected, copy, and we're going to drag. Now we'll add the drum fills a little later. Actually, copy and paste this one here and be good. So that part is now done. Now here's the next thing we're going to do. We are going to figure out where these drum fills go in a second, but let's start to figure out here what loops we want to use. So let's now go to our A section, and I'm going to open up the loops browser here, and let's see what we have. Maybe do a vocal, and we'll do some synth stuff here and see what we can come up with. So synth, we are going to use this one. All right, and I'm going to drop this right there. All right, so at this point I'm almost done with my composition, and I want to be able to show you guys what I'm doing here and how I'm putting this together. So I have an intro and I have a couple effects here, and I just want to show you how I'm color coding a lot of this stuff, and I'm not quite done yet, but I just want to walk through the last chunk here. So I have my A section, my B section, and then my last A section, and I'm not quite done, but I want to show you what's going to happen here, and I have a couple final steps just to finish up here. My intro is right here, and we're going to make these both the same color of green. So let's make this match here, and we're also going to make this little spot here like an effects row. So this isn't really like, I would say, a musical section, but there's a couple sound effects where here you have, you know, maybe something that's just gonna start up, and I'll turn off the snap to grid for a second, but we'll solo this out. You'll hear it right here, just a simple effect, where out of context it sounds kind of ridiculous, and then another effect where it brings you in to another section. So I just wanted to lump those all into the same track. Now, with my drum beat, we'll just have these 3 right now, and I will show you that right now. Here's what I have with my first drum beat. So I have a synth right here, and we can call that like a melody or harmony. And then you have a vocal right here. All right, and then down here we also have a couple other loops that are going to go with the B section. Now you're going to notice that I have not put in my drum fill anywhere yet. So now we change the tune up here a little bit, the groove up, just to fit what's going on with the second beat. Now, since we're doing A, B, A, the easy thing is here, we're going to turn on the snap to grid again. And I'm going to copy and paste these chunks here because we want the A sections to be identical. All right, so up to this point, I have completed my A section, my B section, and my A section. And the main elements, we have drum beat, we have the synth, and we'll label this synth pads, and let's call that harmony because that's what it is. And I want you to be able to identify your elements as well. We'll call this vocal, and let's call it, we'll also call it harmony because it's providing like another texture to it. Now this down here is synth, and it's an arpeggio thing, but harmony. Okay, and then another harmony thing. So we have a lot of these harmony parts that are all the same. So let's put these here in blue, just like so we know that they're a part of the A section. And like down here, we could keep these matching this yellow here. I don't think that's a bad idea. So now we have your drum beat is dark blue, our harmony for the A section is light blue, and the synth harmony for the B section is like a yellow. All right. Now the intro, we'll label all of these soon enough so we all know what's going on, and I'll finish labeling the form for you all. But we have not added our drum beat in here yet, and that is something that we need to do. So what we're going to do is just bring this back, and I'm going to zoom in here so you can see what I'm doing. But this is the end of, you know, the A section, and I actually would like to use the drum beat to help kick off the piece here. So we're going to go to measure 4, do this, and I'm going to drag this so it butts up to beat 1. And you're going to notice it got rid of a little part of this, and that's okay. So what this is going to end up sounding like is this. So I'll start in measure 4, and you'll get this effect. And then you'll notice that the drum beat starts right away. Now I could drag this back over, but it's going to get rid of that crash, and we don't want it to do that. So we're just going to leave it there, and you're just going to hear it all start off. Now I would like to use this drum fill again, and it is going to go over here. So let's bring this back a little bit, and we'll just put this in here, going back to the last A section. And then let's just drag this back over so we can hear that. And let's hear what those 2 spots sound like. So we'll come in for measure 3. And then we're good to go there. Now let's hear it from this spot. So we'll go to measure 19. So that functions just fine, getting us into the last chunk there. So the only thing we have to do is the outro, which is good. And then label the rest of our form. So let's do this. We are going to drag this all the way back, but I'm going to come here because my A section, let me zoom in for you all, starts at measure 5. So let's split this region, and this is still A, but let's call this intro. So we'll edit the name intro. And then I'm going to copy this because we're going to make the last one here the same length. We're just going to call it outro. Now the only thing I wanted to do for the outro was actually mimic the beginning here. So I zoomed out a lot there, but let's do this. We're going to copy this and bring it back here. And then we're going to copy this and bring it back here. So now we have those two there, and we are pretty much done. And I'm just going to fade those out just a little bit on the end, so we're good. And I think I'm ready to go. So let's hear the whole thing. So we want to make sure these top 3 tracks are muted because we don't want them there. And let's give it a shot. Measure 1. Here's my first drum fill. All the keys are the same. That's good. I did have to adjust a couple of those, so if you want to do some more loops like this, you have to be aware of that and how they all sound together. And I did have to change the keys of these as well. And you can go in and transpose those super easy. That's fine. Drum fill. And we'll have a fade out in the end here. And I don't know if I actually like that. So if I like went in and changed a little bit of this, let's bring this back here. Okay. Because to be honest, didn't really like that. I like it more of a fade out. So we're good there. And I do think I want to bring this back here and add this into the ending and fade that in there. And I think I would like to add the drum fill one more time. So let's do that. We'll copy this. And then let's just bring this back a measure because we can always edit it to our liking. So it's there. No, don't loop it. Sorry. And if I zoomed in a little more, let's see if I can fix. There we go. See, that's gonna be a little better. Okay, and if I came back here, so the power of zooming in on this, which is good. Now we can hear more of that drum fill, and we can also bring this one back, but that's not going to matter as much. So let's now listen to what the ending sounds like. We'll start here. I think I like that better with the drum fill. Now we'll just have it fade out. All right, cool. Well, I'm happy with that.
And if you're happy with that, cool. If not, do something completely different, and that is fine. Make sure you guys hit save, and then you can then just copy and paste your URL and then put that in the Google Classroom assignment, and we will be good to go. Thank you guys so much for listening, and happy composing. See ya.